Today's lesson is about perfect squares and square roots. We're going to learn about what a square root is. We're going to learn how to use exponents to help us solve square roots, and we're going to learn what numbers are perfect squares. Let's get started. Here are some key terms. A perfect square is the square of a whole number or a number raised to the second power. So we're going to have a list of perfect squares, and you're going to see that you'll kind of recognize the pattern about how to find perfect squares when you see the list. You actually already know 12 of them, you just don't know it yet. A square root is kind of like the opposite of an exponent, where you find what number times itself has to get to the number in the problem. And we're going to learn a new math symbol today, a radical sign. A radical sign is this little check mark looking symbol that you use to notate a square root. So the problem that's shown in the definition is asking you what is the square root of 9. We're going to solve that in a few minutes. Okay. One thing I want you to know for this lesson is a list of perfect squares. And since you know how to solve exponents and powers, you should know what some of these mean. The first 12 are actually parts of your times table charts that you've learned in elementary school. So I'm going to give you a minute, and what I want you to do is I want you to fill out from 1 to the second power all the way to 12 to the second power. Okay, so here's what you should have come up with. Okay, one thing I'm going to tell you about these two is that just like in the last lesson when we said when something is raised to the third power, you can say cubed. When something is raised to the second power, like all of these, you can say squared. And I'll be saying that a lot in this lesson. So 1 squared is equal to 1, 2 squared is equal to 4, 3 squared is equal to 9, and so on. If you remember, we get those answers by multiplying 1 times 1 for this one, 2 times 2, 3 times 3, 4 times 4, 5 times 5. So up to 12 times 12, you should know those because they're times tables. The last 8 of them I left blanks. We're going to go over those together. Okay? I'll give you a minute to do each one, and I will reveal the answers one at a time. Okay? So 13 to the second power is 169. That's 13 times 13. 14 to the second power, or 14 squared, is 196. And again, you can pause between these to try to work it out on your own. 15 times 15, which is 15 to the second power, or 15 squared, is 225. 16 times 16, or 16 squared, is 256. 17 times 17, or 17 squared, is 289. 18 times 18, or 18 squared, 18 to the second power, 18 to the power of 2, is 324. 19 to the power of 2, 19 to the second power, 19 squared, they all mean 19 times 19, or 361. And 20 times 20, which is 20 squared, or 20 to the second power, is 400. So you need to know those perfect squares because they will help you tremendously when you start solving square root problems, which we're going to start doing now. So here are 3 examples. Example number 1, the way you read that problem is the square root of 25. So what is the square root of 25? And basically what it's asking you is what number times itself equals 25. So if you look back at the times table or the perfect squares chart, 5 to the second power is equal to 25. So what that means here is the square root of 25 is 5. If I ask you to explain why, you're going to tell me 5 times 5, or 5 squared, is equal to 25. So we have to use 5s as the base to get an answer of 25. So the answer is 5. So the answer is not 5 squared. The answer is just the base number. So the answer is 5. Okay? Let's do the square root of 324. Try not to look back at your chart, but if you have to, you can. What you need to multiply to get to 324 is 18 times 18. So the answer is 18. Again, if you ask why, same as before. 18 times 18 equals 18 squared. And if you remember from the chart, 18 squared is 324. So the square root of 324 is 18. The last one, this is part of your elementary times tables. Think about what number times itself is equal to 81. Your times tables tell you that 9 times 9 is 81. So the square root of 81 is 9. Again, if you explain why, you just have to show me that 9 times 9 is 81. and that's 9 squared. Okay, so these are perfect squares being used to find square roots. The last thing we're going to do is show a square root or a perfect square on a grid. Okay, so you guys might be able to figure out what perfect square is being shown here because this box has 3 rows and 3 columns. To find out what perfect square it is, all you need to do is multiply 3 times 3, just like we're doing here. Okay, 3 times 3 is the same thing as 3 to the second power, or 3 squared, and 3 squared is equal to 9. So if I show you a perfect square grid and ask you what perfect square is being shown, you can multiply the length times the width, or what you can do is just count all the boxes. This one's not too difficult to count, but if I give you a picture of 20 times 20, you probably don't want to count 400 boxes. Just do the multiplication. Okay? And that's basically all you need to know about square roots and perfect squares. Hopefully this is helpful. As always, use for notes, use for homework, use to study for quizzes, and I'll see you next time.